The dark side of the American justice system. Dark justice theme. A slow aerial shot of a quiet American town at night. Police sirens echo in the distance as red and blue lights flash across empty streets. The camera slowly moves toward a courthouse building under a dark sky. The atmosphere feels tense and mysterious, setting the tone for the story. The courtroom symbol. Inside a silent courtroom, a wooden judge's gavel slowly hits the desk. The sound echoes loudly. The camera focuses on the American flag behind the judge's seat as the room remains empty and dimly lit, symbolizing the power of the justice system. The title reveal. A prison corridor appears on screen. Heavy metal cell doors line both sides of the hallway. One cell door slowly slams shut with a loud metallic bang. As the sound echoes, the title, The Dark Side of the American Justice System, appears on the screen. The arrest. A quiet morning outside a small house. Two police cars stop in the driveway. Officers step out and knock firmly on the front door. The door opens slowly, revealing Daniel Carter looking confused and worried as the officers begin speaking to him. The interrogation room. Inside a small police interrogation room, Daniel sits under a bright light. The room is silent except for the ticking of a clock. Detectives place a blurry security camera photo on the metal table in front of him as tension begins to rise. The prison reality. A long prison hallway with guards walking past rows of locked cells. One of the cell doors closes loudly as Daniel is escorted inside. The camera slowly zooms in on his face, showing fear and disbelief as the reality of his situation begins to sink in. Quiet American town. The video opens with a peaceful aerial shot of a small town in Missouri. The streets are calm, small houses sit close together, and children ride bicycles along the sidewalks. People wave to each other as they walk past local stores. It looks like the kind of place where nothing bad ever happens. Daniel's simple life. Inside a small auto repair garage, Daniel Carter is working under the hood of a car. His hands are covered in grease as he tightens a bolt. The sound of tools and engines fills the shop. Daniel laughs with his coworkers, showing he is just an ordinary, hardworking man trying to provide for his family. A loving family. Later that evening, Daniel arrives home in his dark pickup truck. His young son Jake runs toward him excitedly, while his wife Sarah watches from the porch with a smile. Daniel lifts Jake into the air and laughs. The scene shows a warm and peaceful family moment. A normal evening. Inside the house, the family sits together at the dinner table. They talk about Jake's school day while Sarah serves food. The television quietly plays in the background. It feels like a simple and happy life that many families share. The quiet night. Night falls over the town. Streetlights glow softly as most people head home. Cars slowly disappear from the roads. The peaceful atmosphere makes the town feel safe and calm. The convenience store. Across town, a small convenience store remains open late. The store clerk, Robert Hayes, stands behind the counter organizing items and counting money from the register. The store is nearly empty except for the hum of the refrigerator and the buzzing lights above. A suspicious shadow. Outside the store, a shadowy figure walks across the parking lot. The person is wearing a dark jacket and a cap that hides their face. The figure pauses near the entrance for a moment before slowly pushing the door open. The robbery begins. Inside the store, the mysterious person approaches the counter. The clerk looks up in surprise. Suddenly, the robber pulls out a gun and demands money from the register. Fear fills the small store as the situation quickly becomes dangerous. The gunshot. The tension rises quickly. The clerk appears scared and confused. In the chaos of the moment, a loud gunshot echoes through the store. The robber panics and runs toward the exit, leaving the clerk lying behind the counter. Escape into the night. The robber rushes out of the store and runs across the dark parking lot. A witness in the distance notices a dark pickup truck speeding away moments later. The truck disappears into the night before anyone can clearly see who is driving. Police arrive. Minutes later, police cars race toward the scene with flashing red and blue lights. Officers quickly surround the store while paramedics rush inside. The once quiet town suddenly becomes a place filled with fear and confusion. The crime scene. Yellow police tape is placed around the convenience store as detectives begin investigating. They carefully examine the parking lot, searching for any clue that could lead them to the person responsible for the crime. The tire mark. One detective kneels down near the parking lot and notices a clear tire mark left on the pavement. He studies the pattern closely and takes several photographs. This small piece of evidence may become an important clue. News spreads across town. The next morning, the entire town is talking about the crime. News reporters stand outside the store while people gather nearby, shocked that something so terrible could happen in their quiet community. The knock on Daniel's door. Later that day, two police officers pull up outside Daniel Carter's house. They walk slowly toward the front door and knock firmly. Daniel opens the door, looking confused as the officers begin asking questions about his dark pickup truck. Daniel does not know it yet, but this moment is the beginning of a nightmare that will change his life forever. Arrival at the police station. A police car slowly pulls into the parking lot of the town's police station. Daniel Carter steps out of the car with two officers beside him. He looks confused but calm, believing he is only there to answer a few questions. The waiting area. Inside the station, Daniel sits alone in a quiet waiting area. A clock ticks loudly on the wall. Police officers walk past him while talking to each other. Daniel keeps checking the time, expecting to go home soon. Entering the interrogation room. A detective opens a metal door and guides Daniel into a small interrogation room. The room is plain and cold with only a metal table, two chairs, and a camera mounted in the corner of the ceiling. The first questions. Two detectives sit across from Daniel and begin asking simple questions. They ask about his job, his family, and where he was the night of the robbery. Daniel answers politely and calmly, believing the situation will soon be cleared up. The security photo. One detective places a blurry security camera photo on the table. The picture shows a man leaving the convenience store wearing a dark jacket and cap. The detective slowly slides the photo closer to Daniel and asks if he recognizes the person. The accusation begins. The detectives begin suggesting that the person in the photo could be Daniel. Daniel quickly denies it and explains he was at home that night with his family. The room grows more tense as the questioning continues. The tire evidence. Another detective brings in photographs of the tire mark found outside the store. He explains that the tire pattern looks similar to the tires on Daniel's pickup truck. Daniel looks shocked and insists his truck never left his driveway. Hours passing. Time slowly passes inside the interrogation room. The clock on the wall moves late into the evening. Daniel's face shows signs of exhaustion as the detectives continue asking the same questions again and again. Pressure from the detectives. One detective becomes aggressive, raising his voice and accusing Daniel of lying. Another detective tries a calmer approach, telling Daniel that things will be easier if he just tells the truth. Confusion and fear. Daniel begins to feel nervous and overwhelmed. He rubs his face and struggles to think clearly after so many hours of questioning. The pressure in the room becomes heavy and uncomfortable. The detective's story. The detectives start suggesting their own version of what happened. They say maybe Daniel only meant to rob the store and the shooting was an accident. Daniel shakes his head repeatedly, saying he was never there. The long night. Outside the police station, the sky becomes dark as night falls. Inside the interrogation room, Daniel is still sitting under the bright light while the detectives continue asking questions. Family waiting at home. At the same time, Daniel's wife Sarah sits at home wondering where he is. She tries calling his phone but gets no answer. She begins to feel worried as the hours pass. The arrest decision. Back at the station, the detectives step outside the interrogation room and speak quietly to each other. They believe the evidence points strongly toward Daniel and decide to move forward with an arrest. Handcuffs. The detectives return to the room. One officer calmly tells Daniel he is being arrested for the robbery and murder of Robert Hayes. The officer places handcuffs on Daniel's wrists as he sits in complete shock. Daniel still believes the truth will clear his name. But the justice system has already started moving forward. And stopping it will not be easy. The courthouse. The video shows the outside of a large courthouse building early in the morning. People walk up the wide steps as reporters stand nearby holding cameras. Police officers guard the entrance as the town prepares for a very important trial. Daniel in handcuffs. A police van stops outside the courthouse. Officers open the back door and escort Daniel Carter out in handcuffs. He looks nervous and tired as cameras flash and reporters whisper about the case. Inside the courtroom, the atmosphere feels serious and tense. The judge sits high above everyone while the American flag stands behind him. The jury members quietly take their seats as the trial begins. Family in the audience. In the back row of the courtroom, Sarah sits holding their young son Jake close to her. Her face shows fear and sadness. Jake looks confused as he watches his father sitting at the defendant's table. The prosecutor speaks. The prosecutor stands up and walks slowly toward the jury. He explains the crime that happened at the convenience store and tells them that the evidence will prove Daniel Carter committed the robbery and murder. Crime scene evidence. Photos of the convenience store appear on a screen in the courtroom. The jury carefully studies the images of the store, the broken register, and the police tape around the crime scene. The tire mark. The prosecutor presents pictures of the tire mark found outside the store. He explains that investigators believe the tire pattern matches the tires on Daniel's pickup truck. The witness testifies. A witness walks to the stand and swears to tell the truth. The person explains that they saw a dark pickup truck leaving the store parking lot quickly on the night of the crime. Cross-examination. Daniel's lawyer stands and questions the witness. He asks if the witness clearly saw the driver of the truck. The witness admits they could not see the driver's face because it was dark. The blurry security footage. The courtroom lights dim as the blurry security footage from the store plays on a screen. The video shows a person wearing a dark jacket leaving the store, but the face cannot be clearly seen. Sarah's testimony. Sarah walks slowly to the witness stand. She tells the jury that Daniel was home with her and their son on the night of the crime. Her voice shakes as she tries to defend her husband. Closing arguments. After several days of testimony, both lawyers give their final arguments. The prosecutor insists the evidence points to Daniel. His lawyer argues that there is no clear proof showing Daniel committed the crime. The jury deliberates. The jury leaves the courtroom to discuss the case. Hours pass as the courtroom waits in silence. Daniel sits quietly, staring down at the table while Sarah nervously holds her hands together. The verdict. The jury finally returns to the courtroom. Everyone stands as the judge asks for the verdict. The foreman reads the decision out loud. Guilty. Gasps fill the room as Sarah begins to cry. The forgotten evidence. As Daniel is led away in handcuffs, the scene slowly fades to a quiet police evidence storage room. Inside a sealed evidence box from the crime scene sits an untested fingerprint, a clue that could one day reveal the real truth. The camera slowly zooms in on the box as the screen fades to black. The truth is still out there, waiting to be discovered. Life behind bars. Inside a quiet prison cell, Daniel Carter sits alone on a small metal bed. The dim light above him flickers slightly. He stares at the cold concrete floor while distant prison doors slam down the hallway. The camera slowly moves closer to his face, showing a mix of sadness and determination as years of his life begin to pass behind bars. The forgotten evidence. Far away in a police evidence storage room, shelves are filled with old boxes from past cases. Dust covers many of them. The camera slowly focuses on one sealed evidence box labeled with the date of the convenience store crime. Inside the box sits a small plastic bag containing a fingerprint sample that was never tested. The unanswered question. The video ends with a slow shot of the courthouse building at night. The lights inside are off and the streets are quiet again. A final question appears on the screen as the camera slowly fades to black. If the truth is still hidden, will justice ever find it?